Hey guys, it's Tessa. So, this video is gonna be a little all over the place. So I thought I would compile all of the projects I have made for myself, my husband, or my dog this year. Which, fun fact, I've made nothing for my husband this year, and nothing for Gibby this year. So these are all projects I made for myself. Although Gibby does have sweaters, I made those a couple years ago. And for the most part, I show you guys everything I make just in general. This is going to be in no particular order because I do film my stuff out of order sometimes, so I have no idea what order these actually were done in. Firstly, we have this blanket here. I do have a video for it, me making it. This is supposed to be themed off of a blanket my grandmother made my dad. But like I mentioned in that video, don't think this is the correct color pattern because something's incorrect and I can't figure out what it is. However, it's made of acrylic yarn and I believe it used like 8 skeins of yarn in total. And it took me like 3 months to make, which is crazy. But it was finished in 2025. And that's all entirely free-handed as well. I just kind of went off a general chevron pattern and made a blanket off of that. So, next we have the Widow's Web shawl here as well. This is by, I can't remember who, but I'll insert the name here. But this is the Widow's Web shawl. I made a video about this where originally this was done in a light gray mohair, kid silk mohair, and drops Flora in the lightest gray shade, and it was left over from my halibut sweater, which we'll get to shortly. And then I went to a dye day, knitting slash yarn dye day for a Discord group I'm in, where one of the ladies so kindly invited all of us to her house and let us use all of her yarn dyeing supplies. And so I made this green and orangey like swamp witch vibe, which I still really love this shawl, honestly. I just don't wear shawls and I don't have the outfits for it. Plus, I think I might be allergic to alpaca. Like, I think I might have a minor allergy to alpaca, and I only suspect this because one of the ladies, the one who let us use her house actually, is allergic to most sheep wool, specifically any that's not processed. And really that just means like the only wool she can use is superwash, which for those of you who don't know is processed wool that has something called lanolin stripped out of it, which is technically the thing she's actually allergic to. It's just like how some cats and dogs have, like, it's the oils you're allergic to, not their fur. It's that same concept with sheep. So she's allergic to the lanolin, which is the oil that sheep produce, and it gets into their coat, obviously, because they're sheep. However, for me, for alpaca, I think it's just the fiber itself is what I'm allergic to. Anything I have that is made with alpaca, no matter how much I wash it or try to just make it softer, it's still kind of itchy. At least not significantly. Like, this is probably the least itchy of the alpaca items I have, probably because it has the mohair, but the halibut sweater also has mohair, and that's the itchiest item I have. So I don't really know, and I don't know which thing it is specifically that I don't like, because I have another project in here that we'll see that is also made with a mohair, but I don't mind it at all. I believe I made this relatively around, I want to say like April, maybe? No, because I finished the halibut sweater in May, so this had to have been done early June, is my guess here. But again, I love this shawl. I think it turned out exactly how I wanted it to. I think if I improve my knitting tension a bit more, I could also make it look a little bit better as well. I was a little tight. I'm a little bit tight whenever I do lace work for some reason, and since I was using, I think, 12 or 13 millimeter needles, like, some of the lace work's a little all over the place, but blocking it certainly helped. So that's project number 2. And then we have everyone's beloved favorite. This is the Draculara inspired hexagon cardigan. Still have not weaved in any of the ends because I don't air it, so there's no real purpose in weaving in the ends yet. But here we go. There's the front. There's the back, and I'll insert a video again as well, like I mentioned. It is made of also 100% acrylic. Most of these are going to be made of some variation of acrylic. Most of these as well are going to be knitting or crocheting projects. However, I do have one sewing project that's kind of started. Another video that you guys will see that I'm going to link here, and it's talking about my cottagecore Hobbit capsule wardrobe video. There's a skirt in here that I made that I sewed by myself, and I would love to love it. I'd love to add it to the capsule wardrobe or base it off of that or use that as a point of reference, but we'll get to that when we get to that. I have 2 pairs of mitts I made this year. The first one, I cannot find his lovely pair, but is the Disney Dreamlight Valley inspired mitts. It's kind of not cute at all. It's a little fucked up, honestly. And it's inspired off of a, digital mitt that you can see in Disney Dreamlight Valley, where it's very clearly like formed to the hand. But the only way I could kind of achieve that was by using the Maze Mitts by Tin Can Knits pattern and using part of one of its features where it does a half rib around it. You can check out more about that pinned above. I don't wear these, again, they're made of acrylic and they're too warm for California. So that's why I don't know where his other friend is. I say that, and then I'm going to show you my favorite project I've made this year, or one of my favorite projects I have made this year that I wear pretty often right now, because it is cold as shit outside. These are the Point Edward mitts. I can't remember the designer, so I'll put it here. But these are the Point Edward mitts. They use the Malabrigo Rio in the color glitter. And it also uses the Mohair Le Petit in dark gold, if I remember correctly. But I love making these. They're so nice. They're done in half twisted rib for the most part. So these cuffs, this cuff, and the thumb cuff are all done in a half twisted rib, so only one side's twisted while the other isn't. Specifically for the thumb and the fingers, so that when you fold it over, you get the nice sleek knit pattern. I love wearing these. They're so nice and cozy. I do think the change in Mohair brand really did help, because even when I was working on the halibut sweater, I thought it was really itchy just working with it. But these ones, not itchy at all. Especially when it's really cold and my fingers kind of grasp onto the fibers, and so it doesn't feel like itchy at all during that either. But I legit wear these all the time. I made a matching-ish pair for one of my best friends. Hers are made just in the Malabrigo Rio glitter. They are hypersensitive to fibers. I tend to be as well. I can't wear polyester shirts, they freak my skin out. But so my best friend is also sensitive to those kinds of things. I purposely did not make theirs with mohair because I was like, I don't know how you're gonna like that girly pop. The next project is one that I don't think I will really wear ever, honestly. I've made it and stuck it in our closet and haven't touched it since. And it is the broken rib. Basically, I did broken rib on the Tin Can Knits flax sweater pattern. So it's just your basic raglan. I believe this is using a Karen Macchiato cake. I might be wrong. I think that's correct though. It's not a bad pattern, I think. I just will never wear this. I don't wear bulky weight items. I did not add any. I did add short rows. They just suck ass because I did them so far down in the yoke, which I should have done them up here, but I didn't. Lesson learned, I guess. But I just don't love it, and so I'll probably never wear it. I should also note specifically that the Tin Can Knits flax sweater pattern doesn't have any problems. It just does the short rows after you complete the yoke, and I don't like that. On our next sweater here, it's going to be the halibut sweater. We do our short rows right after, basically right before we start the color work and really the main part of the yoke. But let me show you that guy. So this is used in, oh my gosh, so this cardigan uses entirely Drops Flora and Drops Kid Silk. Drops Flora is an alpaca wool blend. I think I mentioned that previously, but maybe I didn't. And I believe the Kid Silk is 30% silk, 70% alpaca, or the other way around. I don't really remember. But essentially, I made this entire sweater in it. I think part of my problem with this sweater as well is I did blow dry it to finish it because I wanted to get the video out sooner. And I think me blow drying it also might have fucked with the mohair a little bit. So that could be part of the reason why it is so itchy to me, is that the mohair has essentially been singed, so it's just rough. It could also just be a thing if I am sensitive to alpaca. Again, I don't really know. I will also note I made this sweater. I can't remember to call it a cardigan. I made this sweater before I knew about Caitlin Hunter's past issues. I currently do not support anything she makes and do not have any of her patterns except for this sweater. I'm also using this sweater to base off another video or another project I want to make for next year. But essentially, before I knew anything about Caitlin Hunter, I bought this pattern and made this, then found out. So will not be purchasing from her again. However, I do like the pattern as a whole. If you want to know more about this one, I made a 4-part video series about it because of how many modifications I had to make to this pattern. One thing I don't like about Caitlin Hunter is you have to make a fuck ton of modifications to make it work for you. I feel like if I'm paying for somebody's pattern, I shouldn't have to pay for all of my modifications when realistically, if they're a pretty good pattern designer, you should be able to have something that doesn't require a fuck ton of modifications. To be fair, like, I think I really only feel this way because I quite literally had to modify almost every piece of it. I had to modify the way where the sleeves, where the yoke ends, so where the sleeves connect. I had to modify the way I did the back row, the short rows. I had to modify the way I did the collar because I don't like the collar. I had to modify the sleeves. I had to modify the length of the sweater. Like, I had to modify everything pretty much. So I'm just a little bit irked that, like, I literally had to spend the same amount of time you would spend usually on something like that on, you know, doing it myself instead of the pattern designer doing it correctly in the first place. Next we have my first, currently only, Jessie May Ripple Bralette pattern. It is black, so I doubt you can see it, but it also uses more of the Drops Flora, so I don't wear it too often. That's also partially because the first day I wore it, I had to pick up our dog. I don't remember why, but he sheds like crazy, so not only is this an alpaca wool blend, but it also now has Gibby fur in it. So it's a little bit itchier than I would like to admit. In my Make 9 video, I also mentioned the new yarn I'm going to use to make this. So check that out, or if you're watching this later in the year, later in 2026, check out the video I made on this. It should be coming out in January or February, I think, if I remember correctly. But still, go check it out, see if you like that yarn, all that jazz. I think I mentioned that that's made in the Drops Flora as well. If I didn't, there you go. One of the more recent projects I made for myself that once again I do not wear because it's just not part of my usual attire is this skirt. I can't remember exactly who the designer is. It's from a YouTube video. I will again note it below or note it here who the creator is essentially that I followed this from. It's a very cute skirt. If I worked in office I might wear it there occasionally, probably not though. It's a cute skirt though. I really love the colors green and black, so I think it looks cute together. It's just probably not something I'll wear anytime soon realistically. And then our final project, gosh, a mountain of projects. Okay. My final project I made this year is, like I mentioned, the start essentially to my need for cottagecore / hobbit fabrics and outfits. It is a pretty short, it's been folded, so forgive all the wrinkles in it, but essentially it's a pretty short circle skirt, and pretty short. I literally have to wear leggings with it or else my ass shows, so that's fun. It's also one of the first times I did a zipper as my closure and did not fuck it up completely, like pretty closely, like it lines up. I also added pockets to this, so both sides have pockets. So this is probably one of my, like, honestly favorite skirts I've made. I've made quite a few in the past, but this is probably one of my favorites. Once again, it does need to be ironed. But essentially, I'm thinking of finding this fabric, because if I remember correctly, it's from Joann's, and it's the Eddie Bauer, if I remember correctly. I don't even know where I'd go about trying to locate more of this fabric or something like it. One thing I kind of haven't figured out very well so far is just how to like search fabrics and like what different fabrics are called versus like a material name. That's something I'm hoping to explore this year along with just additional sewing. But yeah, so we have this skirt. It's a little bit brighter in person. It's picking up a little bit dim on camera. But this is just your basic circle skirt. I just look at Mood Fabrics circle skirt calculator. I believe all you do is put your waist measurement in and then divide it by 3.14 to get your radius, and then you use that to line it. You can look at the video pinned. You can look at the video to see how I do it. I believe I mentioned it a little bit better there. But yeah, I want to make more of this. I also really like this fabric because it's a little bit heavier, I think is the right phrasing, where it's like a little less flowy, and it's more rigid. But it's not so rigid it's impossible to, you know, exist. Like, it doesn't just stand up on its own. But that is everything I made for myself in the year of 2025, or at least everything I completed in this year. As you see, I still have the Daft Days cardigan, and what you will be seeing at the very end of this month is hopefully the completion of the cardigan that I frogged, the green and brown one. And either it'll be the completion of, or we will be yelling at the camera again for another 10 minutes. Alright, well, I'll let you guys go. If you have any questions on any of the projects I made this year, or want to know more projects I'm planning on making next year, either check out my Make 9 video, or leave your comments below. And if you just want to see more progress or other videos from me of other crazy things that I'm going to make, you can subscribe. But I will see you guys next time. Bye.